Hey guys, welcome to the second part of this tutorial series about Stellar. In this series, I'm going to be talking about a concept different from what we talked about in the last video. In the last video, we got an introduction to Stellar, right? It was an introduction to Stellar, and we established the fact that Stellar is a layer one open source blockchain. It is decentralized. We talked about what a blockchain is, and we talked about the benefit of Stellar, about being fast, efficient in terms of energy consumption, affordable and scalable. We talked about what you can do with Stellar. You can to build, create application, issue asset, write smart contracts, and all of those things. And in this series, in the second series, I'm going to be talking about the core concept, right? The core concept of Stellar. And the first one I'm going to be talking about is the Stellar stack. So what are the components of the Stellar blockchain itself, the Stellar network or the Stellar blockchain network, or the Stellar blockchain itself. So now let's take a deep dive into this and talk about the component of the Stellar blockchain. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about the network, first of all. So this video is going to be about the network. And we tend to split this second part of the tutorial into multiple sections because talking about this might take a long time if you talk about these 5 components here. But let me just talk about and list out the components. So for the component of the Stellar blockchain, what we have is the first one is the network, right? And you can see in bracket here, I say mainnet, testnet, and futurenet. We'll talk about this in detail, right? And then second thing we have is the Stellar core, right? The Stellar core. Then the next thing we have is the Horizon API. Then we have the RPCs, and then we have the SDKs. So simply put, this is just the component. These are just the components that make up the Stellar blockchain. So as a dev, it's good to have an idea of these things. You know what you are building, and you know what makes up the blockchain that you are working with. So this is just to give us to make us understand what makes up the Stellar blockchain. So let's jump into the first one, which is the network. So in this second part of this series, I'm going to be talking more about the network, try to make it just explain about it, talk about it, and to keep it as brief as possible. So now let's talk about the network first of all. So for the network, the first thing we have for the network is, we understand that the network has 3 types of network already, as I listed above here. We have the mainnet, we have the testnet, and then we have the futurenet. So let's talk about the mainnet first of all. So in multiple blockchain, if you're familiar with blockchain technology, you must have heard about things like mainnet. It's a familiar concept in blockchain and in Web3 space. So the mainnet basically means it's the main network, right? So when we talk about mainnet, it is the main network, the network where production applications, production grade applications, live applications live, right? So the Stellar blockchain is a network. We already established that the network allows you to do all of these things, right? These are what you can do with the network. We talked about being able to transfer money and all of those things. So there are different types of networks, right? So every blockchain provides you different types of network. A particular network where you tend to test your application before you push it to production, whereby other users can make use of it, right? And whereby you can be sure that whatever transactions users do using your platform, using your app, using your dApp, will work as expected. So the first thing I'm going to talk about, let's not talk about the mainnet first. Let's talk about the testnet. So the testnet in this case is that network where you can test your applications that you build on Stellar. So that's basically what it is. So it is the network where, and basically testnet means the test network. Just a short form of test network. So this network is where you test your applications before that you build on Stellar before pushing to the main net, or before pushing to the main net, or the main net. Oh my God. Before pushing to the main net or the main network in this case. So you test on the testnet and then you push the mainnet for which is called the mainnet or the main network or the live network. So this is another meaning to the main network. You can also call it the live network. So the mainnet allows you to be able to host applications that are now used live, right? So you have the test net where you can test your applications that you build on Stellar before pushing to mainnet. So that's basically what it is. So you can test, you can make use of test currencies that have no real world value, right? They're just test currencies. You can use them to test your DApp. You can use them to make test transfers, just to simulate what will probably happen in a real life scenario. So that's the first thing. That's what the testnet is all about. So it's one of the networks that are provided by Stellar for you to be able to test your DApp, test the applications you want to run. So the second one we have, this is the testnet, let's call it A. Then we have the B, which is the FutureNet. Now the FutureNet is future network, basically. And this network is the network that allows you to be able to test. Here you can test bleeding edge features of the Stellar blockchain. So basically what this means is that, when we talk about softwares, and if you have different softwares on your laptop, there are times you be asked to like test the beta versions, or you probably be added to like the dev the beta version, or you'll be added to the dev channels to test out new features before they are added to the current release or to the major releases. Exactly. So that is basically what you have for the FutureNet as well. So the FutureNet is that network where you're able to test out the bleeding edge features of the Stellar blockchain. So whatever features are still being tested, or they are in preparation, or is being planned to be added to the main network, right, is what you can test from the feature network. So you tend to have a place where you can test out the new features that have not been added to the mainnet. You can test it out, you can see how it works. And so there's a dedicated channel, dedicated network for that. And this is one of the most interesting things I find about Stellar also. Another interesting thing I found about Stellar, because you're able to do this, right? So you're able to do this on Stellar. You have a network, dedicated network, whereby you can test out these bleeding features. And it's cool. It's a very cool thing to see on Stellar that a blockchain implements this. So now let's go to the mainnet. The mainnet is the main network, like I've said. And in the main network, you have the live network, right? Where dApps and where dApps live, right? And is used by users for real world interaction and also real world transactions. So in the mainnet, right, this keeps changing to main. In the mainnet, you have this network that allows you to actually host your dApps, right? So where you can host the dApps for production ready applications. So where you can host production ready dApps. And that's where the production ready dApp lives. And that's where users are able to test out your dApp. They're able to make interactions, handle transactions, real life transactions with real currency, real transactions using actual currencies, actual money. Let me call it actual money, right? So this network is what allows you to be able to use that. So the Stellar, one of the Stellar stacks is the network, right? And one of this network, you have all of these things as component of the network. So when we talk about the network, we have all of these things. We have the network, the testnet, the FutureNet, and the mainnet, right? So yeah, that's basically it. So in the test net, there's no real money, no real value, right? You can just test with different values to ensure that whatever you run actually happens on the mainnet. And the interesting thing about the test net is that it is like an exact copy of the mainnet. So whatever happens on the test net is expected to happen on the mainnet. So you are free to test your applications as much as you want in whatever form you want on the test net. And that's the interesting thing about it also. So when you consider this, it makes a lot of sense to see that, yes, we have these three networks. So usually most blockchains have the test net and the mainnet, but Stellar provides you an extra because it always comes up with the cool features. It provides you the future network whereby you can test bleeding edge features of the Stellar blockchain. So I'm going to stop this section here. I don't want to like talk about all the stack in one video. So I'm going to split this into 5 different videos just to like allow you to understand most of these concepts, right? So we are going to be talking about them in detail. right? So I'm going to be stopping this video for now, talking about this network, and the next series, the next video in this series, I'm going to be talking about the stellar core. What is the stellar core and what should you know about it? So thank you very much for watching. See you in the next series.